Imagine it's the middle of the night, windows dark, the air outside calm, no rain tapping at the glass, no wind rattling the branches. Perhaps you are settling into bed, the quiet settling over the world like a warm, familiar blanket. Then, as if from nowhere, the peace shatters. A deep, thunderous boom erupts from above, shaking your home, vibrating through your chest, making the glass in its frame tremble and hum. You look outside. No lightning flickers across the sky. The moon is fat and serene, draped in clouds or glowing from a field of clear stars. You are not alone. In recent months, across small towns in the American Midwest, misty English villages, sprawling suburbs in Ontario, and city blocks scattered from Berlin to Paris, restless sleepers have been awakened by these mysterious sky-shaking sounds, reports, flood police lines, and social media feeds. People describe sudden cannon-like noises, waking children, setting off car alarms. Some compare it to distant artillery. Others, the slam of a giant door somewhere in the clouds. Yet, when the shaking fades and the booms dissolve into silence, official explanations remain as vague and unsatisfying as the darkness outside your door. Atmospheric conditions, some authorities say. Others blame local construction, perhaps a quarry blast or bridge repair, though no such work is found. Meteorologists point to shifting air masses. Seismologists note no corresponding earthquake activity. News anchors repeat the phrase that has become a refrain: no cause confirmed. And so the question hangs in the air with the echo of the last boom. Why are we hearing thunder from a sky perfectly clear? Hearings of the sky speaking without warning, harbinger or cause. Why now? But if you listen a little deeper, you'll realize that these mysteries are not new. The sky has always spoken in whispers and in roars. For those who pause and pay attention, for centuries, people have whispered about these sounds. Strange booms, spectral hums, groaning earth and celestial trumpets described in sagas, scriptures, journals, and diaries forgotten by time. Maybe they are the voices of restless gods, the pulse of a living planet, or simply nature's own language. We have never fully learned. Tonight, we're going to listen, not to what is said, but to what is heard, to the shivers in the night sky, to the rhythmic song of the earth, to the thunder that falls from blue, unbroken heavens. Mysterious, unexplained, and strangely universal, as if the world itself breathes in frequencies we can only sometimes hear. And perhaps, just perhaps, as you drift into the comforting shadows of sleep, you will sense that gentle power of wonder, how even in today's world, some things linger just beyond explanation. Rest easy now. The mystery is only just beginning. Beneath the sweeping skies of New Mexico lies the small town of Taos, encircled by high desert sage. With mountains poised on the horizon, it is a place that encourages quiet. At first glance, Taos looks like any other tranquil Havanathand. Homes blending into the land, roads untangling through arid fields and woodlands, scented with pine and juniper. Daylight here seems to linger, and at night, a blanket of stars returns the silence that settles on the town. But in the mid-1990s, a strange disturbance reached this peaceful plateau sound not all could hear. A low and persistent humming that seemed to emanate from nowhere. Residents described it as a faint diesel engine rumble, neither loud nor oppressive, yet impossible to ignore once noticed. It wasn't a noise that could be traced to power lines, passing trucks, or construction. The Taos Hum, as it was soon named, wove itself into the quiet lives of those who sensed its steady presence. Remarkably, only a fraction of Taos people could hear this sound. For them, it was often most prominent at night, lying in bed, when the bustle of the day retreated and the world was meant to become still. Some reported sleeplessness, headaches, an uneasy tension dwelling in the silence that was no longer silent. When they would step outside, there was no machine, no engine, no infrastructure to blame. Scientists arrive at acoustaticians, physicists, engineers, all eager to solve this puzzle. Sensitive microphones, seismic equipment, and audio recorders monitored the air and the ground. Residents marked the times and places the hum became most acute. Yet, the sound eluded all devices. To those who heard it, the hum was as real and steady as their own heartbeats, but to the machines and instruments, only static silence. Theories blossomed, some rooted in science, others drifting into the poetic. Perhaps the hum stemmed from tectonic stress deep beneath the desert vibrations of stone against stone, the planet quietly groaning under its own weight. Some speculated about top-secret military communication, signals humming through the ether, inaudible to most, but lingering at the threshold of human perception. Others considered the strange commonplace of auditory hallucinations, a trick of the brain at rest, tired, vulnerable to suggestion and longing for a pattern in the quiet. But this would not account for the consistency, the location-specific nature, or the fact that similar hums had been reported in England's countryside, in Canada's remote cities, and even as far as Australia's southern coast. In each corner of the world, local legends echoed, stories of earth noises, the sleeping land sighing out low tones as old as time. As the investigations continued, the answers faded even further away. With no proof pointing anywhere certain, the Taos Hum lingers as an unclaimed melody. Are these the frequencies of a living world? Signals from below, arriving to us as persistent, low and steady as breath? Or is it the human mind, always searching for patterns, always listening so intently that sometimes it invents a song to fill the silence? In Taos, as the night deepens and the stars press closer over the desert, the hum still shivers quietly under the threshold of ordinary sound. For those who hear it, it is the earth speaking softly, in a code yet to be understood. The phenomenon found in Taos is far from isolated. Quiet towns and bustling cities across continents have reported similar low-frequency hums, each with their distinct character and mystery. In the English city of Bristol, the hum first made headlines in the 1970s. Local newspaper offices received hundreds of letters and phone calls from residents unable to sleep, claiming the sound hovered just at the edge of perception, a vibration deep enough to feel but elusive enough to escape concrete explanation. For some, it was a drone heard only indoors. For others, it felt like a tremor resting at the base of their neck. There seemed to be no pattern, no single machine or factory responsible. Some linked it to distant highway traffic, others suspected industrial plants. Yet thorough investigations always led back to the same conclusion: a mystery undisturbed, a sound existing almost stubbornly outside the grasp of reason. The phenomenon popped up again in Canada, where the Windsor hum became part of daily life by the banks of the Detroit River. This particular hum was persistent, described as a cross between a truck idling and a distant thunderstorm that never arrived. Researchers placed sound meters, mapped reports, and worked through dozens of theories, from industrial noises echoing across the water to the subtle vibrations caused by shifting ground. Nothing conclusive ever surfaced, though a nearby steel plant was eventually suspected. Even when the plant reduced operations, The hum's presence never fully disappeared. In far-off Australia, the seaside enclaves around Bondi and Sydney became the setting for another reported hum. Residents there described an oscillating sound, ever so faint, that would sneak into bedrooms late at night. The endless motion of the Pacific Ocean offered one possible explanation, the shifting ground beneath another. Some residents even considered whether the city's dense networks of trains and buses created a persistent resonance carried by the architecture itself. Each location had its own flavor of the hum, yet a core pattern emerged. The sound was heard by only a portion of the population, and it seemed immune to daylight, distance, or the rhythms of ordinary living. It often troubled those with more sensitive hearing, or those awake late into the night, alone in their thoughts. Despite extensive monitoring, the global hums remain unexplained. Theories range from geological forces in the Earth's crust releasing silent tremors, to subtle industrial vibrations crossing vast distances, to the planet's own electromagnetic field, brushing up against human senses. Others see the hum as nothing more or less than the mind's response to deep quiet, inventing a tune as an anchor in the stillness around the world. These whispered signals persist, threading together lives separated by geography but united by a shared strangeness. The hum is a gentle riddle, reminding us that even silence has a resonance, and the earth itself may be full of secret songs meant for only a few to hear. The mystery of the hums has drawn many scientific minds to the subtle boundaries of human perception, where what is felt becomes as important as what is heard. Armed with sensitive equipment, researchers have entered homes, measured sound across open fields, and planted sensors deep within the earth. They hope to unravel whether these sounds have a physical origin, or if they live only in the interstitial spaces between environment and mind. The first step for many investigators is to measure. Sound meters, often sensitive to both audible and subaudible frequencies, have been placed in bedrooms, basements, and attics. In some locations, they have captured background noise ranging from the faint whir of electronics to the passing rumble of distant vehicles. But these findings rarely coincide perfectly with the persistent hums described by those affected. Seismologists have joined these efforts, suspecting that microtremors or slow-rolling earthquakes might be transferring vibrations into structures, and, in turn, into the air. But most regions reporting hums are not marked by seismic activity, and the delicate instruments deployed rarely capture any notable ground motion during the episodes. Still, other researchers turn to infrastructure for clues. They measure the vibrations of electrical grids, natural gas pipelines, and expansive networks of ventilation within cities. It seems possible that the blending of these low-frequency noises, often unnoticed on their own, might combine into a hum strong enough for certain individuals to perceive. Yet, this does little to explain the selective perception. A single household may contain both listeners and the blissfully unaware. Different group of scientists suggests the problem might be biological, known as autoacoustic emissions. The human ear itself can sometimes generate faint noises. People who notice these internal sounds, especially in very quiet environments, can become highly attuned to them. This may explain some isolated experiences, but when entire neighborhoods report the same phenomenon at the same time, internal origins fall away as a convincing answer. Despite these diligent efforts, definitive proof remains out of reach. The hum appears to teeter at the edge of our tools, appearing to some but not to all, imprinting itself on experience rather than instrument. Science, though thorough, is left with a corridor of possibilities, but no single, illuminatinganswer.in. The midst of these careful investigations, there is a gentle reminder: not all mysteries yield to analysis. Sometimes, the boundary between what we measure and what we experience is faint. Like the vibration itself, a place where science and wonder meet in uneasy harmony. As efforts to capture the hum's physical signature have yielded few answers, attention often turns inward to the landscape of the mind. Human perception, shaped by biology and experience, is an intricate filter. What some hear clearly, others miss entirely. The story of the hum highlights the mysterious interplay between the world outside and the world within. Some people are far more sensitive to their environment, attuned to subtle shifts in air pressure, vibrations, or the faintest sounds. Heightened awareness can be a gift and a challenge, especially in settings meant for rest. Lying still in the dark, small noises are amplified, the usual distractions stripped away. This is when those who hear the hum say it grows the most insistent, as if silence itself becomes a canvas for the mind to paint upon. Suggestion plays a role as well. Individuals who move to Taos, Bristol, or Windsor, aware of the local legend, may find their own hearing undergoing scrutiny. Once the idea of a hum is seeded, the mind sometimes begins to search for it. This does not lessen the reality of the sound for those experiencing it, but it does blur the edges of certainty. Humans are pattern seekers by nature, often detecting signals in noise, making connections where none may exist. Psychologists have studied similar phenomena, like tinnitus, the persistent ringing or buzzing in the ears that affects millions. While the hum is reported and shared by multiple people in a community, tinnitus is more personal, arising from the body's inner mechanisms. Both, however, serve as gentle reminders of how perception can turn inward, how the senses and the mind are rarely separate. Communities affected by the hum often share a unique bond. Whether or not the sound is heard, the presence of a mystery weaves neighbors together. Conversations in cafes and local gatherings become a chorus of comparison and comfort. Did you hear it last night? Or I couldn't sleep. Humming become common refrains, binding the listeners into a gentle fellowship. Still, those who do not hear the hum sometimes struggle to empathize, seeing it as an illusion or preoccupation. This difference in experience can deepen feelings of isolation for those kept awake by the vibrations only they seem to sense. The boundary between real and imagined becomes another subtle hum, one that quietly bridges experience and skepticism. Modern life leaves little true silence, but the hum is a persistent reminder that when quiet descends, the mysterious edges of perception come alive. The mind, ever alert, sometimes listens for what the world cannot quite say. Beyond scientific inquiry and personal accounts, every community affected by mysterious hums or unexplained sounds tends to gather stories that go back generations. These stories are born from a desire to explain the unexplainable or to place the mystery within the greater patterns of culture and belief. The low and steady hum is rarely just a sound. It becomes a presence, a lesson, or sometimes a warning in local lore. In Taos, some Native American traditions speak of the land as a living entity, breathing and whispering in tones beyond the usual range of human hearing. The hum is interpreted by a few as the voice of the earth itself, a sign that the land is alive and conscious, speaking in a language that is both ancient and ongoing. Some believe that when the land hums, it is telling a story from deep within, or reminding those who listen to tread gently, to respect the spirits that dwell beneath the soil. In the British Isles, legends of fairy music and earth noises appear in old Celtic and English folklore, describing subtle songs and distant rumbles heard only by the chosen or the fated. In earlier times, such sounds might have been explained as omens or the laughter of hidden folk. These stories comfort and connect people to their ancestry, giving the unidentifiable a shape in the world of myth. Modern legends have also grown up around the global hums. In Canada, some claim the sound is not natural at all, but the byproduct of government experiments or secret military technologies. These stories flourish in part because the official investigations often yield so little, and the sensation of being watched or manipulated fits easily into the framework of modern anxieties. Yet, elsewhere, the hum becomes a benign companion in the daily routine. In Australia, the regularity of the sound has become so entwined with urban life that some describe it as similar to the call of native birds, a backdrop to the rhythm of the city and sky. Here, the unfamiliar is woven into the fabric of shared experience. Throughout history, unexplained sounds have often been cast as messages from the gods, warnings from the dead, or the rumblings of unseen creatures beneath the surface of everyday life. Whether perceived as a blessing, a curse, or simply another mystery, the hum serves as a gentle reminder that the unknown remains a part of our collective inheritance. Within these legends and beliefs, the hum is not just a sound but a thread, stitching together people, place, and possibility. The stories may change across cultures and centuries, but the underlying sense that something vast and mysterious moves beneath what we know remains constant. Life with the hum can be quietly transformative. For those who hear it, daily routines unfold beneath a constant, invisible current. Some try to tune it out, while others incorporate it into the rhythm of their lives, finding ways to live in harmony with a sound that defies understanding. Communities affected by the hum often develop subtle rituals and adaptations. In Taos, residents gather in local forums, sharing notes on when and where the hum is strongest. A simple nod or a gentle smile becomes a sign of camaraderie, an unspoken acknowledgement that others, too, live with this persistent companion. Mutual empathy grows, not only for the insomnia or agitation the hum may cause, but for the comfort of being believed and understood. In some households, white noise machines and soft music have become nightly tools, layering gentle sound over the hum, in hopes of masking its presence. Others adopt new routines, like evening walks or meditation, ways of redirecting attention from what cannot be controlled to what can be embraced. The rhythm of coping becomes part of the fabric of the community, an invisible thread that weaves through neighborhoods and friendships. Yet, there are also those who grow frustrated or anxious, feeling isolated when family or friends cannot relate. This gentle isolation is a common refrain, a sense of existing in a parallel world only half a step away from the ordinary. Some choose to move, searching for quieter towns, but the memory of the hum lingers long after the last night in Taos or Bristol. It is as if, once learned, the mind carries the sound as a faint echo, persistent and unresolved. The resilience of people together often softens the challenge. Support groups, both in person and online, become sanctuaries for gentle venting, advice sharing, and shared hope that one day an answer will arrive. Letters and interviews reveal a spectrum of adjustment, ranging from acceptance to determined skepticism. Despite the uncertainty, the hum has a way of inviting curiosity alongside restlessness. Neighbors share not only complaints, but theories, stories, and even humor about their uninvited guest. The hum threads through conversations at local markets, workshops, and evenings spent under wide, silent skies. Its presence, both divisive and connective, in this shared experience, community, grows quietly stronger. The hum remains unsolved, yet the act of noticing and acknowledging becomes its own gentle answer. With the persistence of the hum and its effect on daily life, some communities and individuals have sought out solutions, embarking on quiet quests to quiet the noise. Scientists, engineers, and inventors have made their own efforts, hoping to uncover the source or develop technologies that might bring restful silence back to those affected in Taos and other affected areas. Local and federal authorities have periodically launched investigations. Research teams set up sensitive acoustic monitoring equipment throughout neighborhoods, parks, and rural outskirts. Data was collected for months, sound signatures mapped, hopes raised. The promise of an answer, something fixable, hovered over the project, yet when the studies closed, no clear culprit could be isolated. The hum remained slippery and unchanged. Some residents have taken a technological approach, installing vibration-resistant windows, modifying walls, or even building specialized soundproof rooms. These adaptations often come at a financial cost, and, in many cases, the hum persists, passing through apparently impermeable barriers. The elusive nature of the sound adapts with each attempted defense, if anything, sharpening focus on its presence. Attempts at masking the hum have emerged as a more practical solution for many. Soft fans, gentle music, air filters, and ambient soundtracks are used to fill spaces with benign noise, offering a gentle cover. The goal is distraction, a way to shift attention, and allow sleep to reclaim the night. Some find these strategies effective. For others, it becomes another step in a nightly ritual of managing the inexplicable. There have even been proposals for larger-scale solutions, such as rerouting suspected sources of industrial or infrastructural noise away from residential areas. But these efforts remain rare and inconclusive. The diffuse nature of the hum makes it hard to legislate or engineer away. Despite the challenge and frustration, hope quietly persists. Each new investigation, each piece of technology, each moment of adaptation reflects a continuing faith in the ability to understand and resolve what is not yet explained. People gather data, share their findings, and support new research, always with the hope that a gentle answer might finally arrive. Meanwhile, some come to accept the hum as one of life's quieter mysteries, an element woven into the soundscape of their days and nights. Solutions may remain out of reach, but the search itself brings a sense of agency and a feeling, however subtle, of shared purpose. The presence of the hum, mysterious and unanswered, has not only drawn scientists and engineers, but has also quietly inspired artists, musicians, and writers. Its steady vibration, sometimes troubling, sometimes enchanting, serves as a bridge between the rational and the ineffable, inviting creative response in the face of uncertainty. For some artists, in Taos and beyond, the hum becomes a metaphor woven into paintings, sculptures, and installations. Its intangible quality is mirrored in the soft edges of landscape art, gentle shadows, and swirling colors that reflect the vibration of the unseen world. Painters capture the sense of sound as a shimmering presence in twilight, or as a subtle weight hanging in the air. Writers and poets have drawn from the hum, exploring its ability to evoke longing or the endless search for meaning. Short stories and poems have appeared in literary journals, themed around the idea of searching for a sound that both unites and alienates. For many, the hum is transformed in language into a symbol, the unresolved chord, the question without an answer, the harmony rumbling beneath the details of ordinary life. Musicians, too, experiment with low frequencies, recreating the sensation of the hum in ambient compositions. Some albums released by local artists in Taos, Bristol, or Windsor include tracks that pulse gently, layered just at the edge of hearing. The intention is not to capture the hum perfectly, but to evoke the experience of living with something so subtle yet so persistent. Listeners say these pieces allow them to process the mystery, to find peace with it rather than to banish it. In dreams, the hum sometimes finds new meaning. People write of hearing the sound in their sleep, of being guided by it through landscapes, both familiar and strange, following its echo toward understanding or comfort. In this liminal realm, the boundary between real and unreal gently softens, and the hum becomes an answer in itself, a gentle companion in the night. Art and creativity do not solve the mystery of the hum, but they transform it. What cannot be silenced or explained is woven into stories and sound, becoming part of how we understand place, memory, and the quiet spaces in between. As the years pass and conventional explanations come up short, new theories, some improbable, others elegantly complex, continue to surface in an attempt to decode the hum. These speculations wander the boundary where the known touches the unknown, inviting gentle curiosity rather than certainty. One line of thought remains rooted in geology. Some scientists suggest that the hum might be generated by subtle shifts in the Earth's crust, tiny movements far gentler than earthquakes that travel as low-frequency vibrations for miles. These mild tremors could ripple upward into the structures above, audible only to the most sensitive ears, or under the quietest conditions. The idea evokes a vision of the Earth itself, sighing, its slow breath just tangible at the threshold of night. Another theory considers the possibility of atmospheric pressure changes. Some experts note that certain layers in the atmosphere, particularly during specific weather patterns, can trap and carry sounds over great distances. The hum might be the result of distant industrial noise, wind turbines, or machinery, funneled and transformed as it travels through the air. The elusive nature of this explanation lies in its intricacy. The right conditions might only occur in brief and unpredictable intervals. Electromagnetic phenomena have also found their place in discussions of the hum. The Earth's magnetic field is constantly in motion, touched by solar winds and shifting as the planet spins. Scientists suggest that electromagnetic fluctuations could, in theory, produce very low-frequency sounds, sometimes called the natural radio of the Earth. Some humans might be particularly receptive to these subtle signals, tuned as living antennas to the music of the planet, venturing further into possibility. A few speculative thinkers propose sources yet more extraordinary. Could the hum be an unrecognized form of communication between species, or perhaps even with the living Earth itself? Might it be, as some legends say, a subtle warning or a memory echoing through natural channels? Or is it simply a mystery, one that exists to remind us of the limits of our understanding? In every theory, there is a thread of humility. The hum has resisted explanation for decades, inviting professionals and dreamers alike to look closer, to listen deeper, and to accept that the world still harbors wonders not easily named or measured. As the search for answers continues year after year, The hum assumes a quiet presence in those communities touched by its steady vibration. Some listeners remain determined to solve its riddle, while others gradually turn toward acceptance. The mystery itself becomes a companion, gentle if persistent, a reminder of the limits and wonder of human perception. At its core, the experience of the hum asks us to live with unknowing. In a world increasingly mapped, explained, and measured, the persistence of such a riddle encourages humility. The hum, beneath its restless questions, invites patience and contemplation. It reminds those who hear it that not every phenomenon must be solved to be appreciated. The unknown is allowed a space at the edge of daily life. For many, living with the hum inspires a different kind of attention. Residents speak of listening more carefully to their environment, tuning in to the subtleties of wind, the distant sound of passing trains, or the gentle hush of midnight air. What begins as a source of discomfort grows into a capacity for presence, a way of inhabiting moments of stillness rather than pushing them away. Families learn to support each other in their different experiences. Some awake with the gentle vibration, others sleeping peacefully, unaware. Acceptance does not erase the oddity, but it soothes the longing for an immediate cause or solution. In conversations, the hum is treated as a gentle curiosity rather than an enemy or nuisance. With time, it comes to represent the layers of reality that remain hidden, and the beauty of phenomena that remain only partially glimpsed. Visitors to Taos and other places affected by the hum sometimes go searching for it, hoping to hear what so many speak of. Some leave without ever hearing a thing, while others find themselves attuned to something subtle within the noise of life. In each case, the journey becomes as important as the discovery, and listening itself is transformed into its own gentle act. In the quiet hours, when all other sounds fade away, the hum continues, soft and unresolved. It carries with it the comfort and challenge of mystery, the encouragement to wonder and to rest within the unknown. Across the world, people have paused beneath open skies, looking upward in wonder at sounds that seemed too vast, too unfamiliar to belong to any earthly source. These are not the pure, even tones of a musical instrument, nor the crackling pulse of traditional thunder. Instead, what listeners call sky trumpets or celestial horns come in waves, a metallic groaning, deep droning, or harmonics that rise and fall as if the heavens themselves are singing a long-forgotten song. Social media brought these sounds to global attention in the last decade, but the reports themselves reach back further. Residents in remote Canadian provinces, sleepy Midwest towns, urban neighborhoods in Kiev, and fishing villages along the Spanish coast began describing the same event. Broad daylight or the shadowed hush before dawn, a sudden and startling peal rolling out of a cloudless sky. People stepped outside, phones in hand, trying to capture the sound that echoed and shivered above rooftops. Most recordings reflect the elusive nature of the sky trumpets. Sometimes it is a deep, metallic wail. At other times, a wavering, almost orchestral swell, as if a giant wind instrument is being played just out of sight. Some compare the effect to amplified breaks of distant trains, the echoes of high-altitude aircraft, or the grinding of metal on metal. But the descriptions all share a sense of awe, something familiar and utterly alien at the same time. Sky trumpets rarely last more than a few minutes, but their impact tends to linger in the mind of those who hear them. Windows rattle, animals grow restless, children and adults alike pause, uncertain Meteorological agencies are often quick to respond, occasionally attributing the sounds to atmospheric conditions, pockets of temperature inversion, or construction work. Yet these explanations rarely fit all the details, especially when the phenomena occur in uninhabited or natural places, or when the acoustics are unlike anything modern industry produces. The Sky Trumpets' emergence has led to a surge in online sharing. Videos and audio clips, muffled or clear, appear every year, each capturing a fleeting taste of the impossible. Some listeners recount feelings of fear, others of deep curiosity. Many simply wonder if, in these moments, we are hearing something that connects distant ages, an echo carried forward from a time when every unexplained sound was understood as a sign or a message meant for humankind. Beneath the sky's vastness, a single, unanswerable note hangs between wonder and uncertainty. Long before cell phones and social media, accounts of strange sounds in the sky shaped the imaginations and beliefs of earlier civilizations. Ancient chronicles, sacred texts, and oral histories preserve stories of noises that seemed to come from nowhere. Metallic clangs, thunderous drums, or horn-like blasts heard across plains and cities alike. In ancient China, historical records describe celestial drums echoing across the valleys during times of turmoil or as omens before great events. Chroniclers wrote of townspeople gathering in open courtyards, their faces lifted toward the sky during the clear light of day or in the hush before a storm. Sometimes these drums were interpreted as messages from spirits or warnings from ancestors. The presence of an unexplained sound was rarely dismissed as trivial. Instead, it was woven into interpretations of fate and cosmic order. The Roman historian Livy described shields clashing in the sky and metallic clangor as signs of angered gods or portents preceding major conflicts. In the Norse sagas, tales of the Gjallarhorn, the trumpet that would signal the coming of Ragnarok, are retold with reverence and an edge of awe. This great horn, it was said, would ring across the realms, its vibrations felt in every heart and home. Biblical texts, too, are threaded with these motifs. In the Old Testament, the prophet Isaiah writes, "The heavens shall be shaken, and the sound of the ram's horn shall be heard." These descriptions have resonated over centuries, blending the expectation of divine intervention with the reality of strange and powerful, skybound sounds. Oral myths from the Americas speak of sky quakes and thunderbirds, supernatural beings whose mighty wing beats caused the earth to tremble and the atmosphere to resonate. For indigenous peoples, these auditory phenomena were not simply noise, but markers of transformation, reminders that the land, sky, and spirits were intertwined. Each of these historic accounts reveals more than superstition. They reflect a natural tendency to interpret mystery as meaning, to embed unexplained events within stories and rituals that provide comfort and guidance. The unexplained sounds became symbols or signals, reminders that the world is vibrant, alive, and sometimes just beyond human explanation. Throughout the centuries, whether as warning, revelation, or celebration, sky trumpets and celestial booms have both unsettled and inspired. The enduring thread in every account is the gentle wonder of listening, not just for answers, but for the stories that rise in the stillness of the sky. Sacred texts and oral traditions have long recorded the deep resonance of unexplained sounds as central motifs, symbols of power, transition, and cosmic communication. These skyborne noises appear not as background, but as the soundtrack to the most significant moments in myth and faith. In the Hebrew Bible, trumpets are closely associated with divine presence. The sounding of the shofar, a ram's horn, marks solemn festivals, moments of revelation, and warnings of transformation. On Mount Sinai, as Moses received the laws, the voice of the trumpet grew louder and louder, marking the boundary between the ordinary and the miraculous. The sky's voice announced change, reminding listeners to pause, reflect, and listen. Likewise, in the traditions of early Christianity, the Book of Revelation describes 7 trumpets, each blast signaling a dramatic unfolding of cosmic events. Each note is more than just noise. It becomes a herald of transition, of endings and beginnings written in sound waves rather than ink. For Norse cultures, the jollahorn is a powerful symbol. Its trumpet call signals not only apocalypse, but also the hope of renewal. The horn's sound, said to carry across all realms, suggests a music at the edge of perception, a vibration binding gods, humans, and the world tree together in the rhythm of fate. Indigenous peoples from North America to the Pacific Islands recall sky voices in myth, whether as the distant calls of thunderbirds, spirits, or ancestral guardians. Many stories describe times when the sky itself seemed to sing or mourn, connecting those below to the cycles of nature above. In these legends, unexplained booms or groans are invitations to listen deeply, to honor the mysteries that move between earth and sky. Asian folklore is equally rich in sonic imagery. The drums of heaven in Chinese stories, the celestial bells in Buddhist legends, and the supernatural echoes described in Japanese and Korean folklore all serve as reminders that the world is much vaster and more connected than what is simply seen. Across all of these traditions, sound is both boundary and bridge. The sky trumpet phenomena are neither solely ominous nor entirely celebratory. Instead, they remind communities to be attentive, patient, and respectful toward the invisible currents shaping life. These sounds, captured in sacred and mythic language, continue to shape how we interpret the unexplainable, guiding each generation toward curiosity and reverence in turn. With the arrival of smartphones and portable recorders, the experience of sky trumpets entered a new era, no longer confined to the pages of private diaries or local folklore. These atmospheric sounds are now shared almost instantly across continents. A single recording made in a quiet backyard can travel the world in moments, gathering comments, comparisons, and speculation from listeners far beyond its point of origin. Some of the earliest viral cases came from Ukraine, where metallic, echoing howls were captured drifting over city blocks. The recordings have a surreal quality. The sweep of wind, distant car alarms, and the unmistakable wavering resonance of something like a cosmic horn. Other clips from Canada, Germany, Mexico, and the United States joined this growing chorus, offering eerie harmonies, at times just a single long drone, and at others, complex multi-layered sounds rolling in sequence. The accessibility of these recordings has changed how people experience the mystery. Whereas earlier generations may have doubted their senses or kept the experience to themselves, now communities gather around these sounds, online and in person, comparing, theorizing, and seeking solace in the reminder that they are not alone. Yet, technology, for all its clarity, brings its own puzzle. Audio experts and skeptics point out how digital microphones might distort frequencies, or how background sounds can be interpreted as far more mysterious than they truly are. Some cases are quickly traced back to construction sites, passing trains, or distant thunder. Others, however, have resisted simple explanation. Enduring even after thorough investigation, the internet has become a global echo chamber, replaying old awe through new devices. Each recording is dissected for clues. Was it weather? Was it aircraft? Is there a hidden message? While some explanations are quickly ruled out, many recordings remain stubbornly enigmatic. The sense of collective listening persists, braided with wonder, skepticism, and sometimes a quiet sense of exhilaration. Modern technology has made the world smaller, but the experience of the unexplained sky sound remains vast. Even surrounded by data and devices, people pause in their kitchens, on city streets, or beneath distant stars, ears lifted to the expanse above, waiting for that next unearthly note to ripple through the sky. When the sky trumpets ring out, the experience reverberates far beyond those who witness it firsthand. News outlets rush to cover reports of mysterious sounds, while social media platforms blossom with discussions, debates, and speculations. The public reaction is a mixture of wonder, anxiety, and the timeless human urge to seek understanding and connection. Local communities often respond first, gathering stories and offering support. In neighborhoods where the sounds are heard, ordinary conversations transform. Neighbors stopping to ask if the trumpet-like noise disturbed someone's sleep, or if another person felt the house vibrate. Community message boards and town hall meetings become forums to compare experiences, validate each other's accounts, and seek patterns. Was there a common time or weather condition? Had similar noises ever occurred before? News coverage tends to amplify both mystery and concern. Headlines report mysterious sky sounds, startle city, or unexplained trumpet noises baffle experts. Cable news, radio broadcasts, and newspapers reach for interviews with scientists and eyewitnesses alike. Sometimes, authorities or meteorologists are brought in to offer possible explanations, though their statements are often tinged with the same uncertainty that listeners themselves report. On social media, the phenomenon takes on new life. Audio clips are shared and reshared, each iteration gathering new listeners and fresh speculation. Some frame the sounds as apocalyptic omens, connecting them to religious prophecy or ancient myth. Others see them as light-hearted curiosities or opportunities to craft local legends in real time. Forums fill with theories. Some suggest atmospheric phenomena or industrial origins. Others propose far-reaching ideas, messages from extraterrestrial life or ruptures in the fabric of reality. The common thread is the search for meaning, an attempt to anchor the unexpected within familiar, if sometimes fantastic, narratives. In the end, the public reaction reflects humanity's longing for connection, reassurance, and narrative. The mystery of the sky trumpets reminds people that even in a world saturated with information, unexplained experiences continue to bring communities together. Wonder, concern, and curiosity blend with the desire for understanding. A quiet chorus beneath each metallic echo rolling overhead. The scientific response to the phenomenon of sky trumpets embraces a wide range of theories, each probing the boundaries between weather, physics, and human perception. Researchers, meteorologists, and acousticians have assembled data in search of the elusive causes behind these mysterious sounds. One leading explanation looks to the atmosphere itself. Sound travels differently at various altitudes due to temperature gradients, moisture, and wind patterns high above the ground. This phenomenon, known as atmospheric ducting, can channel sounds from distant sources across vast distances. Under the right conditions, the rumble of a distant thunderstorm, machinery, or industrial activity might be carried hundreds of miles, distorted and amplified as it bounces between atmospheric layers near the ground and the sky above. Researchers have studied infrasound, suitable low-frequency waves generated by natural events like ocean waves, volcanic eruptions, or even the shifting of tectonic plates. Infrasound can travel great distances, and though not always heard, it can sometimes interact with the environment and be transformed into audible sky noises. Under rare circumstances, these deep frequencies might be refracted downward, manifesting as eerie groans or trumpet-like blasts on the surface. Shifting magnetic fields present another intriguing possibility. The Earth's magnetic field is in a constant state of motion, influenced by solar storms and changes in the ionosphere. Scientists note that during periods of geomagnetic disturbance, strange noises have occasionally been reported, often described as humming, droning, or metallic. While direct links between sky trumpets and magnetic shifts remain unproven. The timing of reports sometimes correlates with peaks in solar activity, suggesting that the planet's deep rhythms could, in rare moments, become perceptible in our lives. Laboratory studies have modeled how atmospheric currents, combined with urban landscapes and infrastructure, might produce vortexes and wind patterns capable of generating resonant tones. Bridges, high-rise buildings, and towers sometimes sing when the wind moves through them in particular ways, a phenomenon occasionally mistaken for distant sky trumpets. While these scientific inferentiations offer a sense of order and possibility, they do not explain every case. The unpredictability, scale, and sheer variety of the reports mean that no single answer fits them all. Science, here, is a humble companion, exploring possibilities, proposing mechanisms, and embracing the beauty of an occasional, unexplainable skyward sound. While scientific theories search for tangible explanations, a parallel conversation unfolds among those captivated by the unknown, where the line between possibility and imagination is quietly blurred. Fringe theories, often found in online forums, and retellings invite us to entertain ideas that reach far beyond accepted science. One recurring idea is that of dimensional overlap. This theory proposes that what people sometimes hear is the sound of realities brushing up against each other, fleeting echoes from worlds just adjacent to our own. Here the sky trumpets become more than mere atmospheric noise. They are moments when the veil between dimensions grows thin. These sounds might be stray signals from distant timelines, ancient civilizations, or even the memories of the Earth itself, reverberating forward into present-day awareness. Another evocative perspective frames these mysterious noises as echoes of memory. This notion borrows from both mysticism and quantum theory, that every significant event leaves a trace upon the environment, a resonance in the fabric of space and time. Some suggest that sky trumpets are reminders of forgotten occurrences, the sonic residue of catastrophes, celebrations, or cosmic phenomena replaying in cycles that only become audible under rare conditions. There are those who turn to spiritual explanations, believing that these events represent messages from beyond, sent by spirits, guardians, or cosmic intelligences. In this interpretation, the trumpet-like blasts are warnings or invitations to pay attention, clues that existence is layered and communication comes through many forms, not all of them seen or understood. Still others consider the possibility that these sounds are not meant for humans at all. They may be part of a larger natural system, signals exchanged between the Earth, atmosphere, and life on a frequency most cannot perceive. To these listeners, when we do notice the sky trumpet, it is more accident than intention, like overhearing a conversation not meant for us. A gentle reminder that the world is intricate, living, and not always centered around human experience. These ideas, while speculative, serve an important purpose. They remind us that mystery can be an opening rather than a closure, an invitation to ponder, wonder, and step gently into the unknown. The sky trumpets, whether ultimately explained or not, expand the boundaries of curiosity, carrying us into realms where certainty and comfort yield to awe, and the persistent echo of possibility. To hear a sky trumpet is to experience a mingling of emotions that can linger long after the sound itself has faded. For many people, the first instinct is one of awe, a sense that something vast and powerful is unfolding just beyond the edge of understanding. The scale and unfamiliar quality of these sounds draw the listener out of the everyday and into the immeasurable expanse of the sky. For some, this sudden transition is thrilling. There is a unique feeling when the world seems to bend or break its own rules, when the senses are met with something inexplicable. The sound swells, rolls over rooftops, and fills the open spaces between trees, power lines, and city apartments. It can feel like a rare invitation to witness the world in a new light, to stand with neighbors beneath the wide sky and share a moment that defies explanation. In this way, the sky trumpet binds listeners together in wonder, reminding each person that they are part of a larger story. Yet the emotional impact is not always gentle. For others, the experience can be unsettling or even frightening. The volume and strangeness of the sound can evoke a deep, instinctive anxiety, a reminder of how little control one holds over the world above. In moments such as these, ancient instincts may surface, stirring memories of legends where mysterious signs in the sky warned of change, danger, or upheaval. Some describe a haunting loneliness that follows the event, an echo of the unknowable that lingers once the streets fall silent again. Others feel a new attentiveness, as if reality has gained another layer. The emotional landscape is shaped by personal history, the context in which the sound arrives, and the company in which it is heard. Yet above all, the prevailing impression is one of the sublime, a rare intersection of fear, beauty, humility, and wonder. The sky trumpet signals that there are still questions to inhabit, still phenomena that transcend prediction and comfort. The feeling it leaves behind is quiet, yet immense, a sense that the everyday world, for all its routines, holds space for the astonishing and the unexplained. Unexplained sounds in the sky have been woven into the tapestry of history, touching each generation in a way that reflects the prevalent hopes, fears, and understanding of the world. If the experience of the sky trumpets is constant, the meanings attached to them are ever-shifting, cycling through religious, natural, and scientific explanations as times change. In ancient eras, people interpreted the trumpets of the sky as clear messages from divine realms. These sounds might indicate moments of favor or warning, evidence of God's stirring above, or spirits making their presence known during pivotal times. For early farmers and city builders, such events would prompt offerings, rituals, and stories that explained the sounds as essential parts of a cosmic order. Medieval chroniclers often connected unexplained booms or trumpet-like tones with battles, or omens, seeing them as harbingers of change. The framework of myth and prophecy turned mysterious sounds into narrative pivots, signs that the natural and supernatural were intertwined, with meaning waiting to be discovered in the echoes. Later, the Enlightenment and scientific revolution brought a new lens. The search for rational cause began to outweigh the old stories, and scholars proposed natural explanations: thunder, meteorites, or rare wind phenomena. Still, when sounds defied these emerging models, communities clung to the duality, a foundation of science beneath a ceiling of wonder. In modern times, technology allows people to capture and analyze sky trumpets as never before. Now, the shared experience is global and instantaneous. While scientific voices provide frameworks pointing to atmospheric science or acoustics, many listeners continue to circle back to earlier motifs. Online forums echo with ideas of prophecy, cosmic messages, and the thinning veil between dimensions. Even today, the timeless instinct to story remains strong. Children raised hearing the legends often blend playful imagination with skepticism, while adults see the phenomena as puzzles to be solved, reminders of ancient tales or invitations to reflect on life's enduring uncertainties. Across all ages, the simple act of hearing a sound that neither fits known patterns nor finds an easy explanation bridges old and new, belief and doubt, comfort and disturbance. Each generation thus adds a new layer, carrying forward a story that is always beginning again. The sky trumpets ring out and are heard anew, their echoes quietly weaving mystery into the rhythms of each age. After centuries of listening, explaining, and imagining, the phenomenon of sky trumpets ultimately leads us back to a state of gentle wonder. The mystery persists, brushing against daily life without demanding definitive answers. Its enduring presence is a reminder that not every question is meant to be solved, and that the rhythm of the unknown has its own place in the landscape of human experience. In moments of quiet, when a metallic sound rolls through the sky or distant echoes stir the air, there is a unique invitation to pause. The urge to analyze or dismiss gives way to a softer attention, the willingness to be present, to acknowledge a world that stretches beyond reason and reassurance. For those who experience the sky trumpets, whether in the hush of dawn or beneath a twilight sky, the unanswered call becomes a soundtrack for living with uncertainty. When discussing these phenomena, many people find themselves returning to the memories of their first sky trumpet. Some recall surprise and confusion, others warmth and curiosity, and many a mingling of both. As time passes, initial fear often gives way to fascination and acceptance. People gather with neighbors, families, or even strangers online, comparing stories and listening together in the hope of understanding, or simply feeling less alone in the face of the vast unknown. Rather than closing the question, the experience of sky trumpets encourages a practice of surrender. It suggests that an open mind, one willing to accept unknowing as part of the human journey, can be a source of comfort. In this acceptance, the harmony of science and myth, skepticism and story, curiosity and calm finds its gentle balance. The sounds themselves are fleeting, but their impression lasts. The humility of not knowing becomes a rare gift, a space where all can settle quietly alongside ordinary life. In this way, the sky trumpets invite everyone who hears them to carry wonder forward, to be held by it as sleep approaches, and to gently trust that the world's greatest mysteries are not always calls to solve, but to cherish. As the journey through strange hums and sky trumpets moves toward reflection, A gentle interplay emerges between what science has uncovered and what legend allows to remain. The mysteries of unexplained sounds, while familiar across time and culture, continue to hover at the intersection of the measurable and the mythical, inviting people to contemplate how we build our understanding of the world. Science, with its clarity and discipline, has proposed many models to explain sky booms and haunting hums, seismic events, atmospheric ducting, industrial noise, meteor airbursts, and even electromagnetic fluctuations have all been studied and tested. These explanations are grounded in careful observation and repeatable evidence. Specialists work tirelessly to map data, test equipment, and search for physical patterns that connect each report to a distinct cause. Yet, as thorough as these explorations have been, they do not unravel every instance. There remain cases where data runs thin, patterns elude mapping, and the sound itself seems to vanish before it can be captured. This uncomfortable space, where the tools of science meet the edge of the unexplained, becomes both a boundary and an invitation. Myth, on the other hand, offers a different kind of certainty. Where science seeks origin, myth weaves meaning. Legends from every continent provide context for the unexpected. Sounds that slip out of easy explanation become stories of gods, ancestors, and living earth. For every data point, there is a parable. For every hypothesis, a dream or omen, each narrative carrying forward the threads of awe, caution, and curiosity. Every unexplained sound, from the hum beneath towers to the trumpets in cloudless skies, reminds us that understanding is a tapestry, made of logic and wonder, fact and feeling. We return again and again to these stories because they are soothing, enduring, and, in their own way, true. Both science and legend serve to shape not only what we know, but how we rest with what we do not. This is the quiet balance at the heart of mystery. As we seek answers, let us also listen carefully to the questions themselves, for the act of wondering is as valuable as any conclusion. To approach the world's mysterious sounds, scientists and investigators rely on a quiet patience paired with rigor. Each occurrence, whether a distant boom, a persistent hum, or a haunting sky trumpet, becomes a new opportunity to ask what can truly be measured, and where does the evidence begin to fade. The first step is the pursuit of documentation. When reports arrive of strange sky sounds or ground vibrations, researchers often ask witnesses to record what they hear. Smartphones, now common, make it possible to capture fleeting phenomena across time and place. Scientists sort through countless hours of audio, carefully analyzing tone, frequency, and timing, hoping to detect patterns that point to a cause. Field investigations follow. Teams may deploy sensitive microphones, seismic gear, and electromagnetic detectors in affected areas. These devices run for days or weeks, sometimes capturing the faintest echoes. An infrasound wave from an ocean thousands of miles away, the subtle resonance of underground movement, or the rhythmic pulse of industrial machinery. Sometimes, with luck and persistence, the source is revealed. A passing aircraft, a distant storm, or local construction. These findings then become part of the scientific record, building a larger map of how sound and sensation travel across environments. Yet, just as often, the evidence remains elusive. Many hums and booms defy localization. No machinery, no storms, and no seismic activity correlate with their timing. Data may show something unusual, but not enough for certainty. This boundary between the found and the unknowable is where science pauses, holding space for continued questions. Investigators share their findings with the public, hoping clear communication fosters understanding, comfort, and sometimes closure for those most affected. Academic journals, news media, and community meetings become the platforms where fact and uncertainty meet. For listeners and observers, these reports offer reassurance that the search for answers matters, even if those answers are still incomplete. In the end, the study of unexplained sounds is a blend of meticulous science and gentle humility. Each new investigation carries a sense of hope that this time, the evidence will harmonize into something conclusive. But when it does not, the process itself becomes valuable, encouraging careful listening, dialogue, and a spirit of patient inquiry. While science has advanced the ability to capture, analyze, and interpret the world's most subtle signals, there are still profound limits to what can be detected and explained. The quest to measure mysterious sounds, whether underground hums, skyward blasts, or ringing metallic echoes, often brings researchers into contact with mysteries that seem to shrug off modern technology. The instruments used to study these phenomena are finely tuned, capable of detecting vibrations so small they are measured in millionths of a second or wavelengths too deep for ordinary hearing. Sensitive microphones can sift whispers from the wind, while seismic arrays trace gentle movements through the earth. Yet, even with such precision, the world remains filled with a tapestry of overlapping signals. Nature does not always isolate her secrets for easy study. Background noise, environmental fluctuations, and simple randomness can obscure the evidence. There are also personal and cultural dimensions to perception that cannot be captured by machines. The hum of one region may be inaudible to the next, even when all physical factors appear the same. People speak of feeling rather than hearing, a vibration. For every powerful recording, there are hundreds of personal accounts, whispered stories, passed between friends, family, and neighbors, that defy classification but remain deeply meaningful to those who share them. Sometimes, events are so fleeting that no one is ready to document them. Sky trumpets may ring out for only a handful of minutes before being gone for years, leaving little besides shared memory and community lore. The tools of measurement stand by, silent and waiting, in the hope that the next incident will offer more data to analyze. The boundary between what is measured and what is experienced is where mystery grows. This space highlights the ongoing dialogue between evidence and belief, between repeatable phenomena and the private, subjective world of perception. It is an area both frustrating and fertile, where wonder quietly persists despite the best efforts of science to name and define every pattern. In the gentle hum of uncertainty and the chorus of unexplained sky sounds, the echoes of what remains beyond the reach of instruments serve as a reminder. There is comfort in knowing that even with all our technology, the world holds back just enough to keep the mind open and curiosity alive. When confronted with the unexplained, humans have always reached for story. Myths and legends do not simply fill the gaps where science leaves off. They shape how sounds are heard and remembered, influencing both individual reactions and entire cultures. The stories we inherit and the ones we invent guide our understanding of mysterious phenomena long after the original sound has faded. In each case of a hum or trumpet-like boom, people draw from a deep well of inherited symbols. A low, persistent vibration beneath the ground is not simply a vibration. It may be understood as the voice of a restless earth, the march of ancestral spirits, or the music of unseen forces keeping time below. Similarly, mysterious blasts in the sky, especially those that come from a clear blue expanse, evoke tales of gods announcing themselves, heroes returning, or cosmic battles taking place above our heads. Myths are powerful not only for what they explain, but for how they connect individuals to their community and environment. When an unexplained sound is wrapped in a story, listeners are invited to find meaning, reassurance, or even shared purpose, transforming what could be fear into a sense of belonging and curiosity. Stories also remind us that we are not the first to encounter the unknown. Our ancestors, too, listened intently, found patterns, and drew lessons where data was absent. Memory also plays a crucial role. The way a mysterious event is recounted to others, family, friends, children, shapes its legacy for decades to come. The emotion attached to an experience, especially awe or wonder, solidifies it in the mind, ready to surface in moments of collective remembering or new mystery. In this way, individual perceptions quietly become part of the fabric of local and even global culture. Stories bring flexibility and comfort. Where science seeks to eliminate ambiguity, myths and memory embrace it, turning uncertainty into a resource for meaning and growth. Whether or not explanations come, the resonance of myth continues alongside the forward march of knowledge, softly reminding us that some mysteries may best be cherished rather than solved. In a world textured by uncertainties, science offers gentle islands of clarity, a sense of order and understanding that anchors us when the unknown feels too vast. While not every mystery yields a definitive solution, there are certain patterns, discoveries, and explanations that grant comfort and perspective to those who pause to listen. We know, for instance, that the Earth is a dynamic, restless place. Its crust expands and contracts, giving rise to tremors and vibrations that ripple out in slow, persistent waves. Water, wind, ice, and fire, each adds its own voice to the planet's natural symphony, sometimes producing faint rumbles, distant cracks, and the occasional, more explosive boom. Our atmosphere is a channel for sound as well. Temperature, humidity, and wind can funnel voices across great distances, creating phantom echoes and amplified phenomena that only reveal their source. With careful study, from the rolling peals of thunder that follow lightning to the strange, elongated whispers of distant machinery carried on an inversion layer. These are effects well documented by meteorologists and ACOUS TICIANS. We also know the world is full of electric and magnetic energies, invisible to the eye but humming with activity, sometimes producing faint noises when they interact with the environment or our own senses. Lightning storms, the aurora borealis, and even subtle shifts in the Earth's magnetic field can prompt curious sonic experiences. Some documented, others still open to hypothesis. Science reassures people with its capacity for adaptation and refinement. Each investigation, even when inconclusive, adds a thread to a larger fabric of understanding. Today's unexplained sound may become tomorrow's new field of study. The act of asking, of measuring, of recording, all these are quiet assurances that restless curiosity is honored and preserved through diligent effort. Above all, science encourages calm inquiry and patient acceptance. To know the workings of nature, even in part, is to rest more deeply within its rhythms. The comfort science brings is not always in answers, but in the humble commitment to keep listening, noticing, and sharing what is learned with an open heart and a clear mind. There are times when investigation yields little more than carefully collected uncertainty. In these moments, it is the wisdom of legends, the stories and metaphors handed down through generations, that steps in gently, offering a kind of insight that transcends pure fact. Legends do not compete with scientific understanding. Rather, they tend to guide emotions, lift spirits, and keep wonder alive when explanations are scarce. The world's oldest myths arose in eras of frequent mystery. Natural phenomena were experienced directly, sometimes joyfully, and sometimes with a shiver of awe. These early observers spun explanations from what they felt and saw, weaving the inexplicable into the routines of daily life. In cultures touched by the hum, for example, stories might arise about sleeping giants or wise ancestors speaking in the voice of the earth. And where sky trumpets drift down from cloudless heavens, tales of gods with grand horns or celestial battles continue to capture the collective imagination. Legends operate on different rules from scientific models. They do not seek to predict or control, but instead to connect. When communities gather around a mystery that science cannot yet explain, stories provide comfort. They transform uncertainty into inspiration, binding listeners together in a shared act of listening, hoping, and reflecting. For the individual, legend can soften anxiety, turning the unknown into something that feels less threatening and more familiar. Instead of inviting fear or frustration, a well-told myth brings acceptance of uncertainty, a sense that some questions nourish the soul by simply being asked. On another level, legends remind people that mysteries are not failures of knowledge, but invitations to engage with the world's complexity. The enduring appeal of a story, its ability to adapt, travel, and find new resonance, becomes a gentle celebration of what it means to live in a universe that is not fully mapped. In this way, the wisdom of legends shapes not just the past, but the ongoing present. As science delves deeper into the fabric of sound, the old stories walk alongside each discovery, quietly reassuring that there will always be a place for imagination, humility, and hope. When the world offers puzzles that linger and sounds that evade the firm grip of explanation, the search for meaning moves gently inward. For all the advances of science and the beauty of legend, there remains a quiet, personal process of reconciling what is known with what can only be wondered about. It is in this process that many find a sense of comfort, even when certainty hovers just beyond reach. Finding meaning in mystery means allowing space for patience, letting unanswered questions exist alongside daily routines, accepting that some phenomena reside in the gentle borderland between knowing and not knowing. In the night air, beneath hums, booms, and distant celestial horns, meaning grows not from answers, but from a willingness to be present, to inhabit rather than solve. The unknown. Many people who have lived with unexplained sounds, whether the Taos Hum or the awe of sky trumpets, speak of a subtle acceptance that develops over time. The initial curiosity and even anxiety often softens as weeks pass. Eventually, the mystery ceases to be a threat and instead becomes a companion, a feature of the world, much like starlight or the wind. This acceptance does not require resolution. Rather, it finds peace within the unresolved, trusting in the rhythms of nature and the endurance of the human spirit. Families and friends who share these experiences offer support simply by listening, validating, and reflecting on the questions together. Communities reinforce this gentle wisdom, reminding each other to find small rituals of comfort. Soft music, storytelling, a pause to stand quietly beneath the open sky. In this shared uncertainty, people are invited to cultivate calm, wonder, and humility. The beauty of the unknown is that it can encourage patience and open-mindedness, gently shifting the focus from frustration to gratitude for the world's layers and depth. The presence of mystery itself becomes a kind of lullaby, reminding us that peace is possible even in the heart of gentle confusion. Meaning found in mystery is not about resolution, but resonance. It is the warmth of quiet curiosity, the reassurance that awe and the questions it inspires are trustworthy companions as we drift toward sleep. Amid mysteries that resist explanation, the importance of community quietly grows. Where they're drawn together by the persistent background hum of a small town, the sudden resonance of a sky trumpet, or the collective wonder of the unexplained, people often find comfort in each other. The experience of sharing, supporting, and simply listening becomes its own form of resolution, a soft landing place when mysteries defy closure. Communities affected by the hum or strange aerial sounds tend to bond in subtle but profound ways. Neighbors exchange glances and gentle words in the morning. "Did you hear it last night? Or was it quieter for you?" Local groups emerge, first in living rooms and coffee shops, then in online forums and social networks, where individuals compare notes, exchange theories, and, above all, remind one another that they are not alone in their experiences. Support can come in many forms. Sometimes it is practical, advice for masking the hum with gentle sounds, suggestions for relaxation techniques, or the sharing of information about ongoing investigations. Other times, the comfort is emotional, a validation of what someone felt or heard, reassurance that the phenomenon is acknowledged and shared. These simple acts of empathy can soften the sense of isolation and anxiety that often grows in the presence of the unexplained. Even councils and local authorities have learned to listen more closely when residents describe mysterious experiences. Meetings, interviews, and community surveys become opportunities for individuals to voice their experiences, knowing that their insights and observations are taken seriously. This attention, both formal and informal, gently transforms confusion and uncertainty into a sense of belonging and purpose. The power of collective listening cannot be overstated. When a group pauses together in the night air, perhaps hoping for the elusive return of a sky sound or simply reflecting on what is unknown, the experience is no longer solitary. Listening becomes a connective act, forging bonds across boundaries and generations. In the deep quiet after an unexplained sound, it is this sense of community, of shared curiosity, comfort, and wonder that invites peace. The power of simply being together in awe or confusion becomes as meaningful as any answer could be. The mysteries of the hums and sky trumpets offer a gentle reflection on how our relationship with the unknown has both changed and stayed the same through the flow of time. Today, people inhabit a world shaped by constant connection and rapid access to information. Centuries ago, unexplained sounds in the earth or sky might have been noted by handfuls of witnesses and folded quietly into culture through rituals or oral tradition. Now, these events ripple outward almost instantly, shared through recordings, digital messages, and online communities around the globe. There is a contrast between the patient wonder of the past and the immediacy of the present. In older times, the arrival of a mystery might inspire days of communal storytelling or the quiet pondering of omens beneath the open sky. Each person carried the event's significance privately, trusting time and tradition to shape its meaning. Today, technology ensures very few mysteries remain silent for long. People reach for devices, eager to capture and share, to compare and analyze, to seek instant reassurance or collective validation. News travels fast. Skepticism and theory rise in parallel. Explanations and speculation are traded as readily as myths once were, and yet the desire for meaning stays at the core of every conversation, formal or casual. Even as tools change and voices multiply, the fundamental response to the unexplained endures. Listeners still gather, whether in person, on digital platforms, or in virtual groups, sharing their stories, sensations, and searches for understanding. The old rhythms persist, or curiosity, a measure of uncertainty, and the comfort of shared experience. In this way, the present moment becomes its own chapter in the long story of humanity's dance with what it cannot fully explain. The methods differ. The longing for connection through wonder and question remains constant. Sleep comes easier when the mystery can be held with a gentle, collective trust, knowing that both our ancestors and our neighbors have stood in the same quiet watch. Ears turned upward, hearts open to the unknown. As the journey through unexplained hums, sky trumpets, and ancient echoes comes to a gentle close, a quiet invitation lingers to rest not only in the comfort of possible answers, but also in the embrace of mystery itself. It is a peaceful realization that, long after the last sound fades from the air, the world is still shaped by subtle wonders waiting. Perhaps just beyond the edge of understanding, the soft contrasts between myth and science, between the music of legends and the logic of explanation, can coexist like dusk and dawn on the horizon. Together, they offer a sense of balance. Myth reminds us to cherish awe. Science reminds us to look closer. Both speak to the innate human longing for meaning, for connection, and for a sense of belonging in an immense, sometimes silent universe. When you lie awake, perhaps listening to distant rumbles, or wondering about the origin of a sudden sound, you are joined by countless others across time and place. Throughout history, people have paused in the silence, attuned to the world's quiet language, the gentle uncertainty, the shared curiosity, the steady reassurance found in community and story. These remain steady companions as you drift into rest. You may never know if the next hum or aerial resonance is the earth speaking, the sky remembering, or simply the fabric of nature stretching in a way that science is one day destined to unveil. But the value, softly, is not always in the answer, it is in the listening, in the comfort that comes from being able to wonder, from embracing the peaceful unknown. As night settles and the world grows calm, let the mystery live gently in your thoughts. Rest in the knowledge that the sky, for all its quiet, has always had a story to tell, and that in this quiet sky, wrapped in darkness and possibility, both question and comfort can lead you towards sleep. Let the last echoes fade now, as the world outside grows still, and the stories of the sky settle softly around you. With each gentle breath, imagine the vast expanse above, a sky silent and starlit, holding memories of ancient horns, timeless hums, and every secret note the earth has ever played. Feel yourself surrounded by calm, the weight of unsolved mysteries lifted, replaced by the light comfort of shared wonder. Allow the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat to blend with the quiet vastness, each beat a reminder that you are part of this grand, unfolding story. Across centuries and continents, through the hush of every night, You are linked to the many who have listened before you, and the many who will listen after. Rest in the knowledge that you do not need all the answers. The world will turn, the sky will whisper, and every soft mystery will cradle you in the spaces between waking and sleep. Let the need for explanation slip away, replaced by the serene truth that the greatest wonders are sometimes those we carry, quietly, simply trusting in their presence. Soon, sleep will find you, soundless, gentle, and enveloping, carrying you toward dreams shaped by awe and comfort. Let every breath guide you deeper into rest, wrapped in the music of an earth and sky, both ancient and endlessly mysterious. Good night. Let the quiet carry you, and may peace be your lasting companion until morning returns.